time to shuffle up. With Duncan, Jeff, and Sloan, let's fill our cups. Commander decks in hand, the battle's about to start. A podcast for the legends, where magic meets the heart. Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold. With heroes and villains, new and old. Duncan, Jeff, and Sloan guide the way. In the world of EDH we play.
Hello everyone, welcome to Commander's Pod. Once again, I'm your pod father, Duncan.
I'm Sloan.
And I'm Jeff.
Thanks for joining us. First of all, I want to apologize for some recent quality issues we've had with our video and our audio. We've been trying a new setup and we haven't done a good job, but we think we got it figured out now.
We'll see.
So hopefully this one will be better. We're gonna talk today just about some different stuff. It's gonna be a little bit of a different format today, just going down a couple different news items, some bits of information that maybe have slipped through the cracks because they're not quite the big announcements of like a set or something. Jeff got back out in the wild and Sloan was not there.
I wasn't.
He wasn't. So we're gonna talk about that. And of course we got Aggro Jeff, as always. So let's get right into it. So Jeff came back out and played last week with me at the local shop. You remember how many games we got in?
2, 4, 5 games?
I think it was about 5. And I think this time he won the first one handily. And after that, I don't think...
I won 2.
You won in one more, but you didn't have any easy games the rest of the time.
I didn't have any, I don't think the first one was necessarily an easy game either, but
I
it
mean,
was quicker.
Seemed easy to me, you know. But there was one interaction that was pretty awesome. I quite enjoyed it. So Jeff was playing Elf Ball with his new Galadriel deck.
Yeah, Light of Valinor.
Yep. And he had tons of stuff. He had been gaining counters. He had about 12 or 13 creatures.
Yeah.
But they had been gaining counters because Galadriel says whenever a creature is cast or enters,
You have a choice of getting 3 green, a mana, scry 2 and draw a card, or put a +1/+1 counter on each creature. And I had Wolverine Riders that lets me put a creature in on everybody's upkeep.
and gives you life, but you kept forgetting about that.
I forgot about a lot of triggers, so I also forgot to put, every time a creature entered one of my Morrowind, I think it is, you get a 1/1 counter on her and she taps for more mana, based on how strong she is, and I forgot that like every time. So.
Yeah. So, but he...
First time, I just built the deck, so first time playing it, and when you play a deck for the first time, you're gonna miss stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially if it's highly...
But we're all like, oh, this is really bad. Because he already had a bunch of stuff out before the Wolverine Riders. And he played a couple of things in the same turn as Wolverine Riders.
Yeah.
So now we're looking at, okay, he gets another elf on the next player's upkeep, which was Bryce. And he chose +1/+1 counters for all his creatures. And then he got another one on Nick's turn. He chose +1/+1 counters for all his creatures.
Right.
And they got another one on my turn. He chose +1/+1. So it's getting bad. It's getting bad quick.
Right.
So it gets back to Jeff's turn. None of us know what's going to happen. You did you pull Crater Hoof or were
That's
you just...
the one where I think I played Crater Hoof and Chroma's Will.
Yeah. So both things bad.
But I couldn't do
Right.
both versions of it. I didn't have my commander out actually. At the time.
Right, because I was
Someone
able to
had killed
remove
it.
your commander
Yeah.
on my turn. So therefore on your turn you didn't get more +1/+1 counters.
Correct, and I didn't get to do both parts of Chroma's Will.
And so that was a happy bonus for me because I didn't even know he was
Right.
going to do that. But so he's he's got Crater Hoof, so he's good.
Right.
You know, and he swings out. Well, immediately Bryce says, Ink Shield. Ink Shield says prevent all damage, and for each attacking creature he gets like a
1/1 inkling or something.
Yeah,
like
or
that.
a 1/2
Is
inkling.
it creature or damage? I think it's creature.
It was
No.
it was damage. It's
Yeah.
for 8 point of damage, yeah. Because we were doing the math,
You had like 100 creatures.
and he had over 100 points of damage.
Right. Yeah.
So he was going to have 100 of those ink shields. He's next. Now we're all dead.
Right. Yeah, because I think it creates 1/2 black-white ink shields. As well.
Yeah.
2/1. Yeah.
Something like that.
I thought it was 1/2. But anyway, so then Nick's like, I don't know what I can do. I go, you got to have something, man. He goes, I can't. What am I going to do? Because even if I stop this, Bryce goes through. So I'm kind of looking at his hand. He kind of showed me his hand. I'm like, well, no. You can phase out his creatures. He goes, yeah, but he still gets. And I go, no. If you phase out his creatures, no damage is dealt. Bryce does not get anything.
Right.
He's like, oh. So he phased out all of Jeff's creatures. And I think then when it got back to my turn, I was able to tutor for Aetherize, which held him back.
Yeah, that returns
And
all
then-
creature stuff.
Yep, and then so he did play into the Aetherize to make me use it. He attacked with half his stuff,
Right.
and I got rid of all the smaller stuff, obviously.
Mhm.
At that point, Craterhoof was gone, and then I don't remember, something else took out the rest, but he lost that game.
Yeah. And I even later on Moonshaker Cavalry too, and they still were able to. I mean, they were working together. It was smart.
Yeah, well, you were definitely the arch enemy at that
Yeah.
point. It was gross. I do remember I ended up winning that game.
You did with the dragon.
Yeah, Niv Mizzet,
Niv-
Visionary.
The new one. The new
Yes.
one. It draws cards for each bit of damage you do.
It's
It's
so
just nuts.
broken.
I think you had a grip of cards. It was like this thick.
No, it was bigger than that. It was 2/3 of my deck. It was
Okay.
bigger than my deck. at
It
that
was
point.
nuts.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah.
So
stupid.
Yeah, I played Galadriel the whole night though.
yeah.
I
All
don't-
5 games.
I don't know why they keep making Niv Mizzets. Like,
Well,
we're good.
the-
Like,
Dude, it's just the opposite in the Heb. I think it's pretty cool.
The Wooburg one was useless. I didn't.
well, it's just like they have so many of them. They're up to like 6 now.
He's a popular character.
Well, go play one of the other ones they already made. You don't need to keep making new versions of them to do the same thing. Just
That is
worse
true. They
every
only
time.
have. They do have 2 Atraxas and they do have 2 Kalios.
Yeah, but they have 6 Niv
Dude,
Mizzets.
that's a good topic, Duncan, for some point for us to talk about what characters have the most versions.
Right.
Yeah.
Fibblethip has a few.
Really?
Yeah, he got
Sweet.
one in the Thunder Junction, but they're not like annoying creature. Like they're not like, oh, this commander makes me want to kill myself. Like Niv Mizzet is like every version of him except for the Wooburg one is like this is just the worst. Like I don't want to play this game anymore because every single one of them when they get out, if they get a turn, it's like cool, you did 50 damage to everybody by doing a bunch of single pings. You drew all your cards. It's just like they're all the same thing, just different ways of doing it. It's just so funny to me.
Yeah.
They just keep making them over and over again. It's like,
Well,
make somebody else.
I mean,
please.
the one says whenever you draw a card, you deal damage.
Right.
So if you have that one in the Visionary deck, which
Yeah.
I don't, it's an infinite. Well, not infinite, but you'll either mill yourself out or kill your opponents,
Right.
depending on life totals and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you have an ability, as long as you have a card in your hand that allows you to get a creature out with like flash, so you can drop like a Lab Maniac or something, like
That's what he
that's
did.
the combo.
Yeah, I think that's what he did to us, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
Yep.
you literally draw yourself to
You
a
won
win.
with Lab Man, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I was
Shocker.
going to be able to win.
Niv Mizzet wins with a Lab Maniac. Who would have thought?
I mean, here's the thing. I had, whenever I cast an instant sorcery, deal 2 damage. And I had 2 instances of whenever I cast an instant sorcery, deal 1 damage. I had another 2 damage one, but Nick stole my Gutter Snipe.
Oh yeah.
So, but just on casting, I was dealing 4 damage to each player, which was 12 draw.
Stupid. That's what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
it's just so silly. Like they really love Niv Mizzet. Like they love him. a
Well,
lot.
we did beat him a couple times. So
Oh, yeah,
it's
no,
not
it's-
an unbeatable.
And my deck
Oh
is,
well, no, but it's just that idea of like it's kind of that thing like where he does it once, like especially for people who don't understand what he can do.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, I don't understand what the problem is, and then you get pinged for 600 damage somehow. You're like,
Oh.
what just happened?
Oh, and by the way, so we were playing and I was like, why is, I think I said out loud, like, Bryce, why are you targeting me? Like, I don't really have anything. I'm not anywhere close to winning here. And Duncan goes, he listens to the podcast. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's not fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, how dare our fans who listen to us know how we play the game?
Yeah. So I was like, oh gosh, I better take that into account in the
yeah,
future.
yeah, he was not.
Yeah.
He was not.
I was like,
happy
I got
about that
nothing.
information.
Yeah, y'all guys just keep killing my stuff. I've got nothing here.
Yeah. But so that was just foray into the wild. He did win 2 of 5. That's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
But a lot more even than it's been recently where, I know a lot of days he's come out, he's won like half or more of his games.
Right.
We had to really show him that was not normal, that he needed to come back to earth. So
Right.
felt good. Besides that, Jeff, what's aggravating you?
Oh gosh, so my Gmail was not accepting emails anymore. So I had to go through and delete emails. So I had 10,000 emails in there. You have to, so at first I'm erasing them 50 at a time. And I was like, there's gotta be a way to erase them all at once, right? So I go in there and I find out, oh, there's a way to erase more. 100 at a time, that's it. So you have to sit there and freaking delete 100 at a time until you go through 10,000. It was ridiculous. That's the worst.
Yeah, and then didn't you figure out you still had like 20,000 in your promotions? You're
Yeah,
like, I'm
but
done.
luckily in that area, when I went to go click it, it does give you the ability to choose all for that.
Okay.
So I erased that all, and then I just had to wait like 15 minutes so I had to go, walk around and talk to some folks because it took 15 minutes for it to finish deleting.
Well, so I happened to be in Jeff's office when he was doing that at one point. And the thing I thought was funny is he's like, I know they do this so that you won't make a mistake and delete important emails. He goes, but I'm still deleting important emails. They're just making it take longer.
Yeah, they're trying to keep someone from doing something stupid. I'll still do stupid. You're just making it take longer for me to do stupid. Yeah. So that's aggravating me.
Yeah.
That's got to aggravate a lot of people, I would suppose.
Yeah, I had to go through that before. It's pretty bad.
I mean, I just stay up to date on my emails. It's not that hard.
I mean, that's one way to do it, but all these normal people
Sloan's
don't do
just saying, be better.
Yeah, a little bit.
that is Sloan's advice, typically.
So, one of the news pieces that we were going to talk about, so Wizards will release Secret Lair in WPN stores. And what I mean by that is, they're going to release a limited number of non-foil, mechanically unique cards from Secret Lair for the WPN shops to sell when they release unique power, mechanically unique cards in a Secret Lair.
Is that all mechanically unique cards in the future, or is this just
this is a test. They're not saying all. They're not saying how long they'll do it. They're doing this as a test.
Okay.
Because they're trying to find new ways to get the cards into players' hands, and they know not everybody likes Secret Lair.
Yeah.
So they said, okay, well, you can get them from your local shop. The first time that you're going to see these cards, they won't actually be for sale. They're doing it for in-store events from April to May. It's like April 25th.
Oh, I hate that.
Well, I think also it's not even Commander. It's going to be standard and draft events.
Oh, that's terrible. On a good note, though, by the way, Rick was fine. His non-unique card was finally made.
Oh yeah, for which?
Yeah, I think it's coming out in this set.
Not in Innistrad Remastered.
It's coming out soon. I just saw it. I don't know. When it's
Well, I
coming
mean, it
out.
would make sense because isn't that like the vampire and werewolf one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense for Rick to be in that one.
I know,
But
but
it's not
supposed to be
Rick. He's a
Reapers.
knight. It's a knight.
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, mechanically speaking.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Mechanically, it is
Because-
different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mechanically
Maybe.
speaking, it makes sense for, the humans to get a big buff against vampires and werewolves.
But I think this is a great idea. I think this is, because the list is gone, that was where they had thought they were going to release these cards.
Right.
And since the list is now defunct, they're looking at new ways. I think this will be great. I really hope it goes well during this test because I think this is a great way to do it. Give the stores some more unique stuff to sell and stop doing it all online.
I don't mind them selling it. I don't like it as a giveaway where I can't get it.
Well,
Yeah.
just the first one, I guess, is supposed to be like that. And you put in here parentheses, I'm assuming this is the set it's correlated to, the
Yes,
Honor
Honor
Thieves.
Among Thieves. So it was the Dungeons and Dragons movie Secret Lair cards.
Right.
So those are the ones, so Thumberchode
Yep.
will be in that.
Yeah.
But those are the ones they're doing for that first one. I think that one's okay. I don't think that's one that people are really, none of those cards were really broken. Thumberchode is playable maybe, but
And I think part of that may be they want to see, like, because obviously if you do it with certain ones, like hypothetically speaking, let's say they did like the non-foil Secret Lair thing with like Marvel, right?
Right.
Obviously people are going to show up to get that one because a lot of people want
Yeah.
it. But I think what they're trying to test the waters is they're trying to see, just in general, because even though the Honor Among Thieves Secret Lair may not have been as big or as popular as some of the other ones, I think it's more of, and why they also have a bigger window, it looks like too, for this one, is probably just as, like you said, this is for a test. This is for them to see, would this potentially draw additional people to come into the shops to get stuff, would then potentially make them buy more of our product, because now they're in the shop getting this card.
So the way I see it, there's 3 groups that probably collect this, right? Just people who collect because they like stuff and collect every once in a while.
Right.
They're not whales. They're just like, yeah, I like that. I'm there. I'll get it.
Yeah.
There's the people that love whatever secret lair it is. So it's like, oh, I love Dungeons and Dragons. I love that movie, so I'm gonna get it. But then I think what they're trying to target is the whales who are like, I have to have everything. And if you can get them to go in the store and buy stuff, because the reality is, when you're in a store, you buy adjacent stuff more so than you would do online. When you're online, it's very targeted shopping.
Right.
Very rarely are you like, I'm seeing this other thing that I kind of want, on TCG or Card Kingdom. I'm going to buy that too. But that does happen in the shop a lot. So I'm sure they're trying to figure out how to drive those good buyers into the shop because it would really support the shops well.
Yeah, and I mean, because the other thing is too, I've never gone through the secret layer process, so I'm not 100% sure how accurate this is, but like, for example, Amazon does that, right? When you go to check out on Amazon, it says, just so you know, people who bought this also bought this. And like they try to basically put it in front of your face before you check out.
TCG Player actually does it too, and I do deliberately look at the stuff.
Yeah.
Because you can find some stuff you never knew existed that does similar.
Yeah, so they can try, but there's nothing, like when you're in a shop, you do just buy extra stuff. Like there's no doubt. Like you're like, I'm here to buy a Seedborn Muse, and you're like, they don't have a Seedborn Muse. All right, I'll buy 3 other things. And then you end up spending 5 times the amount of a Seedborn Muse. You didn't even get Seedborn Muse. And you're still happy because it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that's definitely something I think they are doing with this. They're, like you said, trying to get people to get back into the shops, because ultimately that is, even though it is revenue for the shop, that's also revenue for them ultimately at the end of the day. Because if those shops are closing down, then they're no longer having these additional outlets to sell their products.
It's also more profitable revenue because I guarantee you whatever Walmart and Target are paying is pennies on the dollar in comparison to what a shop is paying.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially a small shop, because the less negotiating power they have, the higher your margins are. So yeah, you're moving less product, but you're making more money off of it. It's like working, you work harder to make less, or work less to make more. It's
right. So the thing to note though is they will be non-foil. All the ones released in the store will be non-foil.
Which is fine. Which I won't curl up.
Well, I mean, because even myself, for example, like I don't care if my stuff's foiled or not. Like it doesn't intrigue me anymore. Like if it's foiled or not.
If I have an equal opportunity for both, I'll take the foil, but I don't care enough to go seek out a foil.
I will say though, there are some times where I'm like, I'm intentionally not getting the foil because I can't read this. Like the foil is so intense.
Heck
like it's unreadable. It's like I can't, like you have to angle it like at a 27.6 degree angle just to be able to read the words. It's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna get the foil. That's too much. I can't deal with that nonsense. I'm getting too old for that.
Galadriel Light of Valinor has some, I think maybe it's called a surge foil for that one. And I was like, okay, well the surge foil is $30. The normal really cool looking Galadriel, which still looks really cool, but it doesn't have a surge foil, is like $10. So I was at the shop, I was like, well, what is a surge foil? Does it look awesome? Because if it's like a galaxy foil, maybe that would be cool.
Right.
It is the dumbest looking thing I've ever seen. It's like got claw marks or some sort of nonsense down the middle of the card. You can't read, it doesn't look good at all. It looks terrible.
I felt the same way about the Halo foils.
Okay.
And I got a bunch of Halo foils when they were doing those, and like I got an Atraxa. It was like $300. I sold that thing immediately. I was not interested at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's how I'm like. There's sometimes where it's just like it's just not worth it. Like the foil is like harder to read, and it's also like the other bad part too is when you have it in the sleeve and with the foil and then the plastic like see-through part, it's like reflecting and like blinding you. You're like, I can't see, I can't read it, and it's blinding me at the same time. Like I just flipped the card over. Like I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, I don't think that's an issue. Like for example, if you told me hypothetically, I go into the shop, they're like, hey, by the way, if you buy this product, you know, you can get this Marvel non-foil version of Black Panther. I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, I don't care. Yeah. Like, it doesn't bug me that it's not foiled. I'm not going to spit it back in your face.
If I'm buying Secret Lair, though, I will typically buy foil because I know there are times where the foil's worth significantly more. But that's been hit or miss lately because sometimes a Secret Lair is the cheapest version of the card.
Well, but what I'm saying is like for like the free promotional part, right? If they're just like, hey, if you just come into the shop and buy this pack, like if you spend $10 on this set, you get a free non-foil version of a Secret Lair from Honor Among Thieves.
Oh, they're not doing that.
Well, what I'm saying is like if the way they're doing, because it says that it will be prizes for store events or whatever, right? So like if you come in and you buy into the tournament and like it's a consolation prize, right? So it's like everyone gets a card from that that's not foil.
I
whatever
would
the case may
join.
be.
I would join a tournament to get a free card, probably.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's
And I
a
don't think you not join it because it's not foil.
right, exactly.
That's it.
Like it's
Yeah,
like
no, that's a
it,
valid point.
yeah, it not being foil. I don't think that's going to be like the end all be all. I think it's smarter too because I definitely think that the non-foil ones are probably overall quality better and as well as probably cheaper from the make too.
Right.
So sending those to the stores is, I think, a good thing because then that gives, like you said, that gives the stores a chance to sell something that they have been recently keeping to themselves.
It's a nice change of pace from Magic 30. It's almost like
Right.
they're doing something nice for the players,
I
which
think
is
we're
good.
at 31 now.
No, I'm saying the Magic 30 debacle.
Yeah, when Magic
yes.
30's
Oh,
whole
okay.
nonsense happened. And,
Yeah.
So.
So.
But let's move on. So just in general, how do you feel about the whole secret lair system?
I have not partaked in any of them thus far. I have had the great honor and pleasure of listening to two other people I know complain about it constantly. So
Oh, that's not true.
I will say that from my understanding, it has not been the smoothest from everything I've heard from these two people that are very close to
I
me.
think the only one that went there were two that went bad. Well, actually, there's only one that went bad for me, and that was just that.
there's been a bunch though that went bad.
Yeah, but for me, the only one that I complain about is the fact that I didn't get Monty Python.
Right.
But I might complain about the way Marvel went for others.
But even the way it went for me, I should have gotten the Arcane Signet.
That definitely affected you, but you still got an Arcane Signet.
Yeah,
You just had
thanks
to
to
pay
you.
a little bit
Yeah.
for it, but not much.
No.
But yeah, no. So I think in general, Secret Lair is really good. I have a really positive view of Secret Lair. I just bought one just the other day, which you have on here for us to talk about at some point. But I love them. They're great. I get to pick. I don't have to do the whole gambling thing. I get to buy exactly what I want, and I like that.
No, and I do too. And they do tend to choose cards with decent value for what you're paying.
Yeah.
So that part's good.
It's
It's going to be hit or miss on whether you like the one they're offering.
Yeah.
Only the biggest whales have gotten every secret lair.
Oh wow, that's crazy. There are people that have bought every Secret Lair. That's wild.
I mean, maybe with the ones that they ran out of so quickly withstanding.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not even that.
But if they have that much money,
yeah,
they have
they
gone on
probably.
the secondary market and bought it anyway.
Yeah, because it's not that much more expensive. It's like 50% more.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that if you're talking about the actual like cards themselves and how they've done adding mechanics with them, with the ones they have added, or whatever you've done, I think they've done a good job of incorporating Secret Lair into whatever, I guess, kind of universe they're borrowing these cards from into Magic. I think they did a good job of that. I just think the actual way they deliver Secret Lair could definitely use some tuning up, as it were. But I think the actual cards themselves are good. The only one that I remember in recent history that we all kind of were like, we don't even like remember why they chose what they did was Princess Bride. Remember we talked about that one.
Yeah.
It was very confusing, like the choices that they made for the characters.
I missed that one too.
Yeah, like it didn't make sense. Like they chose Finn the Fangbearer for.
Yeah, I didn't miss that one. I intentionally didn't buy it because I had no interest. I wanted to play Dreadpire Wesley so bad, but not as Finn the Fan.
Right, and that was, and I think that was one that I don't think they did as good on. They definitely kind of missed the mark with that one, I would say. But I think overall, like in more recent history, I feel like a lot of the cards that they've added and done the Secret Lair with have been well done. And they made sense mechanically speaking, and the characters they chose made sense for what they were doing for the most part.
Matter of fact, there's only one thing that's really annoyed me about the Secret Lairs, I think. And that's probably the lands. And Duncan told me something today, and I'll let him tell all of you. But it was always kind of annoying because it's like, I'm not going to spend $30 to get 5 lands and have to do that 5 times.
You're talking about the basics.
The basics, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
that one drives
dumb
me.
how they did that.
We'll get to that in a future segment about the thing coming up for that.
Okay.
But the thing that I don't like about Secret Lair, and I haven't liked about it since the beginning, they cut the stores out. Now they're kind of making it up for it now with the specialty cards.
Mm.
But To me, they should have done something like you order the Secret Lair, but you pick it up at your local shop. They ship it there, not to your house, unless you don't live within so many miles, and then it goes.
They'd have to charge more
You think so? Why?
because they have a middleman.
No, they wouldn't have to charge more. I'm not saying the store gets a cut.
Oh, you just pick it up there?
Pick it up there. Somebody goes into the shop. Maybe they're gonna pick up something while they're at it. Maybe they've never been in a store. Maybe that's their first time.
That'd be very. That seems rife with problems.
Or
Because now you have this store.
offer free shipping to a store or pay to pick it
But
up.
now you have the store having to
pay for
manage
delivery.
and store your cards for free. And there's hope that people come in and buy stuff, but they don't. It's a good thought.
I just think at least try and include the stores.
Yeah, you could sell them to the stores, but the problem is so many stores just buy extra stuff and inflate the price.
Well,
I mean,
and the problem with Secret Lairs is they do so many, and some are duds. The stores would be on the hook. You know what I mean? If
Yeah, they would just
if
be
it was
stuck
on the
with them.
product.
Yeah.
But that's why I said if they ship the orders to the store, you know, somehow I think. But
You know what
how
they could do? You know what they could do? If they really want to help the local store? Every time they do a secret layer, the stores that buy enough, right? You get different tiers through purchasing and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And because you do games and stuff and all that. If you're at a certain tier, you get one of each secret layer to sell in your shop. If you're this tier, you get 2 of each secret layer, or whatever it is. You figure out a way that every time you do a secret layer, you give a little bit to the shop, saying, "Hey, thank you. We're not involving you in this because we really can't, but here's some free product." It doesn't really hurt you that much because printing the cards is not
Right.
that difficult. And shoot, I wouldn't mind if you charged me $5 more on each secret layer so you could do that.
Right. Yeah. How else should it change, do you think? So I would say there's too many just dogs. You know what I mean? Through the course of the year,
Too many what?
dogs, like just bad
Oh,
sets that I have no interest in. I'm not talking just for me, but I'm saying, like right now, if you go on there, you can buy, I didn't know this, there's a tab where you can see the ones that are from Universes Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And they still have going all the way back to like, you know, last August or something. Most of the sets are still there.
Yeah.
You know, that's not good. That's dead product.
which is probably why they're letting you pay before they make it. Why they've done that in the past.
Right.
I would say similar to that, it is frustrating when there's like one. I won't say that they're dog hole sets. I wish, but they do the same thing with sets where they throw in like cards nobody wants.
Yeah.
Like, what's the dragon there's a dragon that's like in every single set and no one ever plays this friggin' dragon. And they just keep putting it in every one. Like, it's just, there are filler cards. And so when you're looking at the secret layers, you're like, great, 12-cent card. What's the point of printing
Right.
a special edition 12-cent card? Unless it's highly played. If it's like a highly played 12-cent card, that's one thing. But if it doesn't see a lot of play, it's not worth anything, don't put it in a secret layer.
Well, so I'll point to the Marvel ones as an example of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there were 2 cards in the Marvel Secret Lair. I don't want to play, but I feel like I have to because they're the special art.
They got to go in that deck.
And that's Galvanic Blast for Iron Man.
Yeah.
Because while it cared about artifacts, it didn't fit the theme of the deck otherwise. No. And yes, the art was cool and it made it, calling it the Galvanic Blast, like, okay, I get it.
But they could have picked a better card.
Right. And then,
same thing.
I can't remember the name of the card, but the one in Storm where you destroyed land with Storm.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy.
That's true.
I don't.
But there are I think that set actually was pretty good from top to bottom, but there were still some. But there are some other sets where it's much worse. Where you're just like, this, I will never play this card.
But it's a little different too, though, when all the cards are themed to the hero.
Yeah.
They assume you're going to build that deck. And now you're going to take one card out of the 6 you got?
They should all fit that deck and be strong in that deck.
And
I agree.
And not hate-inducing.
No.
You know, the destroyed land with
Well,
storm.
I think we've talked. It just destroys one land, right?
With storm.
With storm, so every spell cast.
Okay, yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, and then she has storm, and
She is storm. It's just
yeah. But
Storm
who
Apocalypse.
believes Duncan doesn't have that in the deck and is not happy about it secretly?
no, I'm not. I've never played it. I've never played it. It is in the deck because it's
Yeah.
art, but you know, I do also think do a better job of making us care, because sometimes it's artists. I love the artist cards in theory, but the artists they choose aren't the artists I want to see most of the time. They're artists that are independent from Magic.
That's a great. I just came up with a great idea on that.
What?
Why don't they do a survey and go, hey, like do Secret Lair. Hey, when you buy the next Secret Lair you buy, they also ask you a question. What artist would you like? Again, it's not a question for everybody. It's a question for people who buy Secret Lair.
Right.
Because someone who never buys Secret Lair, I don't really care what you think should be in Secret Lair. You're probably just being a troll. But anytime you buy a Secret Lair, they ought to ask you a very simple question. What Secret Lair would you like to see? Yeah. What artist would you? It's one question, guys. It's not hard to do.
And
what company doesn't want
holding
feedback?
you to it? Like if you're
right.
well, if everybody asks for Star Wars and there's no way you can get Star Wars, you've tried and you know Disney said no. You don't have to get it, but at least you have an idea of what they're looking for.
And it's so easy, and every company needs feedback. I mean, I doubt anyone there listens, but if they do, that would be a great thing to do. And it'd make people feel good because it'd feel like they're being listened to.
Right.
I mean, if you really want to get people to actually take the survey, I would even give them something if they take the survey.
Yeah, there you go. Give them another extra card.
Yeah, like you know, maybe throw in some of those basic lands you're crying about.
But I would do the survey even without something free.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
If it's one question.
Right, and so, but you know, it's really hard for most people in the world, and you know, not including you in this, but most people are not really going to spend time doing something unless they get something out of it, right? That's how most people.
Well, what if it's a drop down with 5 artists and it's like, do any of these 5 artists interest you? Bam, done.
I mean,
I also think sometimes though they're doing it because they're letting the art speak for itself. But I don't know.
I mean, have you seen some artists recently what they call art? I mean,
yeah, but there's been some really good
arts.
I mean, the one you just bought had gorgeous art.
That was awesome. Yeah, but I do just think of the story I just saw where a guy went to a modern museum and put a pineapple on a table. Went and bought a pineapple for $1, stuck it on the table. Later on, someone decided that must have been a display, so took a display, like the glass part, and put it over the table, the plexiglass, so it was protecting the pineapple. And the pineapple was kind of at an angle and pushed down by the plexiglass. And everybody thought it was the best piece of artwork there because how it was shaped in there, pushed up on the glass, they thought it said something about art today and its displaying. And when they asked the artist if you know, how he chose to do this, you know, he said he answered them like he did it. As it turned out, he didn't do it. And then it came out this story, and you would think they'd take it down. They left it up because it's so great. So yeah, so Johnny, yeah, there is some art out there. It's like it's indistinguishable from some guy buying a pineapple.
Yeah,
but there is still good art.
Yeah, and I'm not discrediting that. I do definitely think there's people out there. Like I think the Marvel art that they did was really well done because they let the artists, they gave them an arrow for each hero, and they displayed a good job of displaying those costumes. I think even the Secret Lair that you got, the Walking Dead one, like the art was it was really well done. It portrayed the characters well. So I don't think that it's impossible to find artists to do a good job on the cards and to create art that is, you know, enticing to people to want to get or be, you know, purchased. However, I do think that there is a level of, okay, you need to at least get to this point to where we don't need you to write a blurb to explaining on why you made this art this way. Like, if I need to read a whole nother article explaining why the art looks this way, you fail.
I disagree.
I think it's ridiculous that you're going to do some ridiculous abstracting that has nothing to do with anything, and you expect me to be like, yeah, that's cool. That's completely understandable why you chose to do this with this picture firebolt.
I think there are people out there that feel that way, that when they see art, they want to see a boat and a landscape and a person. They don't want to see some Pollock, type of thing or Dottism or something like that. But I think there's still room for that art, and there are people out there that do like the Impressionists, they do like the modern type stuff.
Sure, but my point is, it shouldn't be so absolutely ridiculous that it has zero relation to anything going on with what's on the card and what the game it shouldn't be that obscure. If it's too obscure, that's, in my opinion, it's just you being humble.
That's the point of Secret Lair, though. Like, if someone made a Secret Lair, I'm gonna give Wizards a little hint on this one. This would be amazing. Do Wrath of God. Have the back of the card look like a normal Magic card, but the front of the card is just white. There's nothing on it. Just a blank card. That would be friggin' hilarious. And there's got to be a card in Magic that's something about a blank.
Artist proof.
What?
That would look like an artist proof.
And that would be a non-playable card, because then I can just go get any blank Magic card and say, oh yeah, that's a Wrath of God.
Maybe it says Wrath of God at the bottom or something, but it's just mostly blank.
Right.
Right. But I mean, my point is, for example, let's use Marvel, because it's the most recent one that pretty much everyone knows about. If they made one of those cards so ridiculously obscure, would you been happy with that? Where you didn't, how does this relate to anything
For
going
what
on?
set?
I just pointed
No, it
out
wouldn't fit for
galvanic
Marvel.
glass.
Well, but the art still makes sense, right?
Yeah.
The art is still relating to what the theme of that card was supposed to be for the theme of that commander. If they made it so obscure, you're like, I don't know I don't understand what this is even trying to portray right now.
It's a cat, and they're like, oh, well, back in the 1980s in one issue, they showed Tony Stark's cat.
Right, it would be so ridiculous. It would be it would deter people. So there needs to be enough of a draw with the art there for the people who are buying it for the art, for it to actually want to be purchased. You can't make it so niche that you're neglecting most of the people.
I think you can. I think you could do a Feed the Swarm, where when you look at the card, you're like, I don't necessarily know what anything is, but I feel like a swarm is in this. And that's kind of what you get with that type of art.
But
I think there's a place for it.
What you just said counters what I just said, because you're still seeing the theme of what the card is supposed to be.
Not everybody will see it, though. There's no swarm. It has a feeling of a swarm. It makes you feel swarmed.
Yeah, I mean, art is subjective.
Yeah.
Sure, I get that.
And the other thing I would say about the Secret Lairs is they put out so many, they don't care if they apply to everybody.
Yeah, sure, but they want most people to try to buy them and most people to purchase them, because then they're just wasting money. If you're going to keep making it, and I'm not saying they are doing this, but what I am saying is that if they're going to have, do a survey to have what artists you want to see come back and do this, great, dandy. But if the art starts getting so obscure to the point where it's I feel like you're going to lose more people than you are going to gain. There's a point where it becomes absurd. There's a point where it becomes a pineapple on a table by accident.
I don't think they've done much of that.
They haven't, and thank God they haven't. But my point is if it gets to that point where they are starting to, because they want to potentially be, I don't know, they want to try to help people out, and they don't have any parameters for these artists, and they just kind of start doing whatever they want to do, and then the art on the card starts getting crazy and wild. I feel like that's going to be a bad thing. And so I think that when it comes to the Secret Lairs, it's with the way they've been doing it recently, with the very centralized theming that they've been doing, I definitely think that if there's certain artists that you've seen better sales on their products with when they're doing the art, that's something that should be taken into account whenever you're trying to go do a new thing, especially if it's something similar. For example, the Walking Dead and the Princess Bride were both very similar art styles, where they were kind of realistic painting, almost painting-esque kind of looks of the characters. And so whoever did those, the art looks great. Unfortunately, I think Princess Bride, when as we mentioned, they chose bad cards. But
some of them. I mean, Vicinity, I kind of I bought him separately.
Right.
But anyway, I get what you're saying. You do have to watch so that you don't alienate too many people.
Right.
But let's move on to the next bit of news, which is what Jeff was talking about. So they've introduced a new type of Secret Lair called Chaos Vault.
Okay.
And Chaos Vault is kind of anything goes. They tend to be more unique, more off the cuff and creative.
Okay.
Okay. So actually, the one that Jeff just bought, the fairest drop of them all, was the first Chaos drop, which I did not realize.
Oh, and they're so clean, dude. They look so good.
The art was great.
Yeah.
I didn't care enough about the cards to want them, and maybe they're too artsy for some people. I think they're not. They don't look like a Magic card.
No, they're interesting looking,
But-
but they're also not like. They kind of look like really expensive playing cards.
Right.
Is the way I would.
But what I loved that they did with this, number one, there was a limit of one per customer.
That's good.
Number two, it was only available in foil. And number three, it was reduced price. It was only $24.99 for the Secret Lair. So
But they are front and back, which is tough.
right.
Because
We did have an incident when Jeff was out. Jeff was refusing to flip his modal card.
I always refuse to flip my modal cards.
But it gets confusing because then you have a creature down in your lands, and people can't look at the card and know what it is.
yeah, I gotta figure out a way to do that because taking the card out of the sleeve and putting it back in the sleeve.
Super simple. Print the back of it, put it in a sleeve with the back box, and whenever you use the back, you just put that down instead.
Right. So that could work, but I just haven't done that yet.
But so anyway, those double-sided cards can be tricky. But so the other one that's coming out, they haven't announced the release date, is lands, and it's the basic lands. And instead of giving you one of each, you'll get 10 of each.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
And those look pretty weird.
They are. They're very psychedelic.
Yeah.
And I will say, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but if you look it up, there is some controversy about the look of the island. That's all I'm going to say about
Oh, I saw that.
it. Yep. So
Yeah, that's
you
fine.
can look that up and interpret that as.
But if you look at that island before you look it up, go look at it. Because if you look at that island and you're like, I really like this island, then go look it up and that would be pretty
might tell
fun.
you something about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the first time I'm seeing the fairest drop of them all. I didn't even know this happened, but I would say that like the front of these cards is almost very tarot card-esque.
Yeah.
Like it's very like circusy kind of this like pictures and font and kind of that theatrical kind of look to it. And then even the wording on the back, they kind of did a more artsy thing where it's more script with the wording, but even there's like
It
art
looks
on the back
fairy
of it.
tale-ish.
Yeah, that's another good way of describing it, almost fairy tale-esque. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, I do think these are cool. I don't think these are too crazy obscure. I do think from the pictures I'm at least seeing, like they still have the theme of what the card is about. So Estrid's Invocation kind of has like a little fairy as a picture on the front. It's an enchantment, and it has a description on the back. I will say good job on them putting the card type and the cost still on the front, even with the picture. So they didn't just put it on the back, so that's good. But yeah, I mean, I think these are well done. I don't think they're too crazy and off the cuff, but they are a little more on the artsy side for sure.
They might be my favorite so far of Secret Lair.
Better than Marvel?
Yeah, because Marvel was cool, but these are just
Yeah, the art I think is what he's mainly talking about.
Yeah, but I like the cards more than the Marvel ones too.
Okay, I'll trade you.
Yeah. No, because there's a dollar amount.
But no, I get what you're saying. So I just thought that's kind of interesting they're doing this. I'd be interested to see how it'll go. I find it funny that they're specifying because I think they've done some weird, wacky stuff before, some more creative Secret Lairs than as far as ones that they thought were going to be definitely, things people wanted. Like they did the social media ones. The
Oh, yeah.
goblins.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that was weird and wacky.
Oh, they did the full word lands.
Yep.
Where it's just words.
Text lands.
That was
yeah.
very weird.
And some people love those.
That was very modern. Yeah.
But so it'll be interesting, something else to check out.
Yeah.
Like I said, they have not announced when the next will be, but it will be those lands.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, and you forgot to say the best part about the lands.
I did say about how you get 10 of each.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I was
Thanks for
almost
listening to you. Appreciate it.
he doesn't even listen to the podcast when we're on it,
Yeah.
recording it.
Right.
What do you want from me?
Just to pay attention.
Yeah, that's
No,
it.
I can't do that.
Pay attention and remember two things. That's it.
Well, the second one I definitely can't do.
He can't remember what the first one was because of the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you guys talking about? What's
Exactly.
going on?
Who are you again? Third news piece, there is a rumor, more of a theory, I guess, a fan theory. Magic the Gathering Arena. So let me tell you the theory, and then I'll tell you why they think this. They believe that Magic the Gathering may be working on an Avatar: The Last Bender set.
Airbender, that'd be dope.
They are. It
Yeah,
seems
Airbender.
very likely.
Yeah, The Last
they
Bender.
are.
That would be
The
a
Last Bender.
crossover, like.
Oh no.
Yeah, Bender
So-
so the reason why is because on Magic the Gathering Arena last week, so now it'll be, that's still last week when this comes out.
Yeah.
We're actually recording the same week. They had all these deals on cards. They were all centered around the 4 elements.
Okay. So,
Okay, and not only that, but two of the cards they offered mentioned bending somewhere on the card.
Not only that, they did the same thing for They've done it for Spider-Man. They've done it for other ones too. So like, they do this every time with these. It points to the next set coming out.
Right. So
this is a pattern.
Right. So this could be the Secret Lair set of the last quarter, to be announced.
yeah, the unannounced one. That'd be cool. I mean, I am a huge fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think personally that's probably one of the greatest written TV shows ever. Just how well they did the characters, character development. All the characters are so cool, super fun, and they all have their moments and their story.
That's actually one of the cartoons I've watched, all of them.
Yeah.
And that is actually a cartoon because it's made in America. It's
Correct,
not-
yeah. It's not
So-
anime, it's a cartoon, but it's and I will say this: if they do make an Avatar: Last Airbender set, and they do make Azuko, I might have to buy him because he is probably one of my favorite characters. He has such a great arc in that show. It is
Well, isn't it coming out at the end of the year?
potentially
It might just be a Christmas present.
so. It could that
That
could
I'll
be
get
what
for
we're getting.
Duncan.
Yeah, that'd be super cool, man. I'm sure Duncan would appreciate it.
Yes, but I have never seen The Last Airbender.
Really?
Never.
I will tell you this. One of the things that I mentioned, one of our buddies, him and his wife were having their first kid, and I was picking them up from the airport because they went on an anniversary trip. And I asked him, I said, "What's something that if your kid doesn't like it, like deep down inside, it might kill you a little bit? Like you'll still love them, but there's a chance you might love them just a little bit less because they don't like it." And I took disc golf off the table for one of them, and they were kind of thinking about it. I was like, "Well, I'll give you an example. Avatar: The Last Airbender to me. If none of my kids like that show, that might have killed me a little bit on the inside because I love that show so much, and it's one of those shows where it's so well done and written, and it's so family friendly. Like you can even like I watch it with my kids, and so there's times where like I'll go home and all 3 of us, all 4 of us, with even the youngest one who's only 2.5, almost 3, will sit down and watch it with us because of the fire bending and the element bending and stuff, and it's just so good. It's so well done, and so that is one of those shows where like. If you haven't seen it, especially since you have a son that's kind of at a really good age to watch it, I highly recommend it.
Also, I think everybody in the entire world would agree. You start with the live action movie.
Oh gosh, please don't. Unless you want to cry and hate
Just
it.
Don't they have a TV show or
The Netflix started to make a live action series, which
It's
definitely
not the worst.
It's not. It's better than the live action movie.
Yeah,
but
don't watch the
It
movie.
has nothing. It doesn't even hold a candle to the actual animated series.
But watch the cartoon, and then there's also another one, Korra or Kiora.
Legend of Korra.
Okay.
Legend of Korra is the second one.
And that one was okay.
Yeah, it's not as good. Yeah, it's not as good. It's just a continuation. It's after the first series ends. I think it's like 50 or 60 years after the first series ends. It's one of the next Avatars.
But I would also buy.
So how can there be a next one? That was the last.
He was the last Airbender. He wasn't the last Avatar.
Oh,
He was the last Airbender. Hence the name Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they could have done a whole series then. Avatar: The Last Firebender and Avatar.
Well, when you watch the show, it makes sense why it's called Avatar: Last
Korra
Airbender.
wasn't the last anything though. She
No.
was just.
She was just the next Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to watch the show in order for the title to make sense.
Okay.
Like literally in the opening sequence, which again, another great thing about the older cartoons, I'll go on my rant real quick. One of the other great things about older cartoons is like the theme songs and like the intros. Like it actually made sense. It wasn't just like gibberish. It actually explains like the whole premise of the show.
Kind of like our theme song.
Yeah, exactly. Just like our theme song, because we don't have a trash theme song. So, but yeah, it explains the whole show and what the whole premise of it is. But I would definitely recommend it for you and your son if you want a cool cartoon show to watch together. Phenomenal. That might be my number 1 rated overall. TV
We've
show.
watched it in our home, so it's pretty good.
For sure.
Check it out. So needless to say, Sloan is definitely excited about that.
Yeah, I hope it's
Thanks
it,
for
man.
it.
That'd be cool.
So let's roll right into with you're pumped up. How about giving some pro tips from a non-pro?
Yeah, so we started down this path, I want to say maybe 30 episodes ago, learning the color combinations and their names. So I was looking through my notes, I was like, oh, we haven't even got to the 3 color combination names and what they're for. So
We did do 4.
We did 4 because the 4s were easy because there's only the 5 of
It's
them.
the Nephilim.
It's the Nephilim, right?
So this is it, because after this, the only other one is
Right.
Uber.
Well, so we have to break it in half because there's 10 of them.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, there's 10 of them. So we're going to do the 5. And so the first 5 that we're going to do are going to be the original 5, which I found out there was a set called, I think, Shards is what it was.
Shards
called.
of
Shards of Alara.
Yeah, Shards of Alara. And that is where these first 5 came from. And that was released in 2008. So the first 5 that were introduced and given a name were, let me go back to my notes here, Bant, Esper, Grixis, Jund, and Naya. Now, the cool thing that I found out reading this article was, do you know that each of them had a central theme for their color combinations? So, for example, Bant, which is white, green, blue, its ability was focused around Exalted. So when you look up all of those cards, Bant cards from that time, they're all focused around Exalted. Esper, which and that's the other thing. The primary color for Bant is white. So white's the primary focus, and then green and blue were the 2 secondary. The primary color for Esper is blue, and the secondary being white and black. And their emphasis was on artifacts, including the first widespread use of artifacts with color casting cost. Grixis, primary color black, secondary color is blue-red, was given the Unearthed ability. So that is you pay, return this card from the graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning. Exile at the beginning of the next end step, or if it would leave the battlefield. Unearthed only as a sorcery. Jund, red primary, black-green secondary. This was the Devour mechanic. As this enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. This creature enters the battlefield with that many times 1/1 counters on it. And then lastly, Naya, which is primary green, red, white, secondary. This was creatures with power 5 or greater was the emphasis. So those 5 color combinations of the 3 colors, Bant, white, green, blue, Esper, blue, white, black, Grixis, black, red, blue, Jund, black, red, black, green, and then lastly Naya, green, red, white, were all from Shards of Alara in 2008, and that's why they got their names, was because there were 5 different worlds inside of that plane that each focused primarily on those colors, with the primary color being that first one listed.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how they got.
know that.
Yeah, that's how they got their names. That's where they came from, and then the next 5 and the 3 are a similar thing. They came from a later set and kind of a similar backstory. But
Yeah,
we'll
they gotta
those
get
next
back
time.
to doing cool stuff like that.
Yeah, like that. That to me is super cool because not
Well,
only
they did it with New Capen.
well they did the families. They did like,
I guess they did it with Strixhaven too.
Yeah, that's schools.
the schools of magic with Strixhaven.
So I take
and
it back.
Japan.
They're doing it.
But like they didn't.
It wasn't just the houses, I guess.
Yeah. Like it wasn't. I don't think it was as focused as this was because, like I
No.
said, like I didn't know, for example, Bant. Like if you look up Bant cards from this set, they're all about Exalted. Like, I didn't know that. I thought Bant was just a name that you called the colors because of whatever it was, but I didn't realize that Bant actually had a theme to it and it focused on certain. Like I did not realize that.
Right.
So I looked this up. So I thought that was pretty cool. So that's 5 of the 10 3-color combinations. So we'll hit the other 5 on another episode and finish out all of the names, and then of course there'll be a final test that we'll all fail.
Because the only one I knew that if you had quizzed me was Esper.
Esper,
Yeah.
yeah. I knew Bant because I made a Bant deck, but yeah, I knew Bant and Esper, and that was it. I didn't know the other one.
Cool. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the giveaway that I've been teasing about. I'm going to give away the Marvel Secret Lair foil edition, sealed. I have not opened it. I
Super
opened
cool.
mine
Big
that I'm
money.
using, but I have one that I kept sealed. So we're going to be announcing the full details on our 50th episode. That is 2 episodes from this one.
Yep.
So it's coming right up. And
End
I
of
have
January that should be out, right?
Yep.
And that's the foil version too, right?
Yes.
Yes. and I'm adding a couple secondary prizes, like a runner-up and second runner-up prizes.
So second and third places are
Yep.
affectionately known as.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's not, I don't know, I guess you can say second or third place, but it's like grand prize.
Yeah.
So one of them is a backpack with our logo. It's got pleather accents.
Yeah, it looks like it actually has a little holder down here for a mat.
Yep, you could put your mat down there. It is not specifically a card backpack, but it is one, I chose it because it did look like it could be used for that.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's that. And then the third place one, we have a crossbody bag, again with the logo on it. So there's that.
There you go. You can put your reserve list cards in there and keep them close to your heart.
Or if you have just one single deck, you can fit that in there. But
Go to the tournament rocking your cross chest fanny pack
yep,
like a boss.
I mean,
Yep.
people do.
Pull it over your shoulder.
You could have, yeah, listen.
I mean, the rock.
I mean,
Dude,
Jeff, you could keep your tokens that you never
Yeah,
had.
it's not a purse. It's a satchel, and Indiana Jones has one.
That's true.
Yes, that's right. But
Careful with that. It has
this-
M&Ms in it.
This is a crossbody
Skittles.
bag. It's neither.
What's the Skittles?
It was Skittles.
That's
Come on.
M&Ms.
But that's all the time we have for today. Thanks again for joining us. Again, thank you for putting up with the last couple episodes with the quality issues. Hopefully we've got that fixed on the audio. So
Fingers crossed.
fingers crossed. Don't forget to check out our website, commanderspod.com. You can email us, cast@commanderspod.com. You can always,
Support us via Patreon.
Patreon, yeah. Patreon.com/commanderspod. And don't forget, kill Andrew first.
Not me.
Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains new and old. Duncan, Jeff, and Sloan guide the way in the world of EDH we play. So tune in, friends, let's draw and go. In the Commander's Pod, the love will show. From our decks to yours, we share the spark in this world of magic. We'll leave a mark.